Good morning, friends. So, in this video, we would be discussing the most common mistakes which are made by the aspirants who are giving their first attempt. So, we had received a lot of mails. I have received a lot of messages from my students and from other people who kind of subscribe to CD that, sir, we don't know what to study. We do this kind of problem. So, I thought that I should make a video to ensure that the first time aspirants the aspirants which are preparing, they avoid these most common mistakes which generally they do. So I have I have found out there are some 24 to 25 issues which generally the first time aspirants face, and because of that they fail in their attempt. And because of that, see, ultimately I believe the first attempt is the best attempt because you don't have any failure. But because of these mistakes which you make, it costs you the first attempt. So these are the common mistakes which you should avoid as in first time aspirant. Firstly, trying to read each and every page of newspaper. So I have seen people, new aspirants who, when they start preparation, they feel like every page, every news in a newspaper is important. And therefore they read the politics news also कि रामविलास पासवान ने मोदी के साथ ऐसा किया, राहुल गांधी ने यहाँ आइसक्रीम खाई. They kind of read every kind of news, which should be avoided, because ultimately you will have to read the front page, the national page, and in national page avoid the political news, the editorials, and the business page, and the international page. Rest of the pages you should avoid. I mean, sports page, political news you should avoid, because ultimately what happens is that these people waste 3 to 4 hours every day in reading one newspaper, which means that they have very less time for the other things to study, the static part, optional part, etc. Next is not, or mistake number 2 is not reading the syllabus properly and trying to read the entire book from first chapter to the last chapter. So problem, if kind of students come to me and ask, sir, what is which book should I read for arts and culture? I, suggest them read Singhania, Nitin Singhania book, Arts and Culture. Now, what they do is that they read everything in the book, and that book is a very lengthy book. So it's just an example. If you talk of any book, there are just 60 to 70% of the chapters which are relevant. The rest of them should be avoided. For example, in Arts and Culture, book, the chapter on Indian cinema, it's avoidable because UPSC has never asked a question on that. So that's why you should read only those chapters in the book which have some relevance for the UPSC. Next is trying to follow the topper's advice blindly. So see, this exam, there is no one way to clear this exam. There are some people who clear the exam by studying 6 hours. There are some people who kind of study 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours. There are some kind of toppers who write on points. Their format is point. There are some toppers who write paragraphs. There are some toppers who read multiple books. There are some toppers who read just 1 or 2 books. So every topper has its own different strategy, and every individual is different. Maybe that topper could clear the exam by studying only 6 hours, but probably your base is not that strong, and therefore you have to study 8 to 10 hours. Everyone is different. What aspirants do is that they read this interview, or he has cleared the exam by just studying 6 hours, 4 hours. Even if I study 4 hours, I will clear the exam. So ये सब चीजें जो है इसको you should avoid. Every individual is unique, and every individual strategy should also be unique. Next is, or mistake number 4 is doing PhD on certain subjects and topics while ignoring the other subjects or topics. So there is one kind of person which I know who is master in IR. You talk to him. He reads articles from Diplomat, from ORF, from Economist, and you talk to him and you ask him any question on IR, he will give you the whole background. But when you ask him any question on economy or science and tech, he would not be able to explain. And he is an aspirant, and every people around him say that you have so much knowledge, still why don't you clear? It is because he has devoted so much of his time in reading IR, things he has read which has no relevance to UPSC, except that it boasts his image in the aspirants fraternity. So this is something which you should avoid. You should give equal time. See, just avoid your personal favorites and disfavorites. You are not here to acquire some higher academic knowledge. You are here to clear the exam. For that, you should be good in each and every subject. You should devote equal time in each and every subject. Therefore, read only what is relevant for UPSC, and don't avoid any subject, even if you are weak in that subject or if you have no interest in that subject. Next is, or mistake number 5 is that wasting 3-4 weeks in filling DAF. I mean, I have seen people who runs around the serving IAS officers, sir, this is my DAF, how should I fill it? See, there are a number of videos on YouTube, there are a number of blogs. Read the blogs and fill it in one day. You don't have to waste your 2-3 hours or 2-3 weeks in filling DAF and not preparing for your exam. Next mistake which aspirants do is they it happens that they started daydreaming. So while reading, they start daydreaming about कि मैं IAS बनूंगा, तो मेरे पास कार होगी, मेरे पास I'll get a good wife, I'll have a good bungalow, I have so much power. ये सब चीज छोड़ो. मतलब if your mind diverts in that ways, or if you don't feel like studying, watch a movie, but don't waste your time in daydreaming. You have to work hard for that. And don't think about the objective, or don't think about the end. You have to focus on the means. Next is buying unnecessary number of books. This is a very, very common mistake this is a very common mistake which is usually done by the first time aspirants, that they go to market, chai peene they go for tea, and they see, arey naya market aaya or nayi book aayi, which is the best book on UP on polity, and you see, yaar ye to achhi lag rahi hai, le lo. And you have like 10 books on each subject. और होता क्या है कि आप हर बुक से कुछ उल्टा सीधा पढ़ते हो, and your mind is filled with so much knowledge or so much information that when you go for the exam, you're not able to recollect them. So best strategy is to you minimize to 2 books for one subject, but revise them again and again. That will be a better strategy than reading any shit which is available in the market, because in the market there is so much shit available. So don't do that. Next is not practicing enough answer writing. This is again a very, very common mistake. They क्या करते हैं बच्चे कि अपना इंफॉर्मेशन जो अपना दिमाग होता है वो नॉलेज से भरते जाते हैं, but they don't vent out. When you write something, you are venting out that knowledge. You are showing that knowledge to somewhere. और उससे क्या होता है कि recollection फिर easy हो जाता है. So if you write, if there is a question on Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and write an answer on that, it is very probable that information which I have written, it will be stuck in my mind even after 3 months. और दूसरी बात यह है कि without answer writing आप clear नहीं कर सकते exam. People with great knowledge, with great hard work, they have not been able to clear the exam because they are not good at answer writing, which is that they know a lot of things, but they're not able to express those things in the paper. Right? You have to, and this is because of lack of answer writing practice. They have never written answers, and therefore they know everything, but they don't know how to, express that information or write the information in 200 words. And that is why they score really bad in GS exam. So answer writing should be started along with your preparation. You should at least give 30 minutes to 45 minutes every day on answer writing, every day. Next is ignoring the current affairs. Now this is also it's also a common mistake aspirants do, that they keep on reading the static books and the optionals, but they avoid reading newspaper, they avoid reading, they avoid kind of following the current affairs. This is very current affairs. If you see in prelims and mains, 60 to 70% of the paper is based on current affairs. Therefore you should read, every day you should read few hours current affairs. Next is reading too much stuff and cramming your head with irrelevant information, facts, and data. So I'll tell you a kind of story. When few years back, there was one of my cousin who kind of started preparing. So he came to my house and he was reading newspaper, and he was reading a news very, very kind of seriously. And I was just passing from that place, and I just thought that I will see what he is reading. So he was reading that 4 members of Fajlu gang are arrested. So I went to him. I said, Fajlu, I mean, what are you reading? Because Bhaiya, I feel it is also relevant for UPSC. I think crime or a criminal gang is kind of 4 members are arrested. He said, no, these are things which are minor things. I mean, why shall and he was making notes. So then I saw his copy. And when I saw his copy, it was filled with factual information. South Africa में यहाँ पे mining में 8 लोग मर गए इस जगह में. This is the place of that place. So much unnecessary information. तो ये चीज avoid करनी चाहिए. I mean, you should only read what is relevant. See, this is not state PSC exam. State PSC में भी अब उतना factual नहीं आता है, but state PSC is still more factual. UPSC में इतना factual नहीं पूछता है कोई. So you kind of avoid these things. Focus more on analyzing the issue. Next is not doing enough revision. Now this is also very important, because होता क्या है कि we prepare UPSC the way we prepare the exams of our masters or our bachelors. So everybody, including me, I can tell you with all kind of thing that exam mein, masters may we hardly read 1 or 2 days before the exam. That is how it goes. Revision का तो scope होता ही नहीं है. You have the main fight is to complete the syllabus. वो रहती है. But UPSC में ऐसा नहीं है. इसका रीजन ये है कि when you are giving your university exam, वहां पे आप एक ही टाइप की चीज पढ़ रहे हैं. वहां पे if you are doing engineering, आप सिर्फ इंजीनियरिंग की चीज पढ़ रहे हैं. If you are doing economics, आप सिर्फ इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ रहे हो. यहां पे you are reading everything under the sun. तो वहां पे अगर रिवीजन नहीं होगा, then it is very difficult कि जब आप एग्जाम में जाओगे तो आपके दिमाग को रिकलेक्ट कर पाओगे जो चीज आपने रीड करी थी. राइट तो ये चीज इट इज वेरी नेसेसरी कि आप रिवाइज करें एटलीस्ट 3 बार. 3 times you have to revise all the basic books. Only then you will be able to recollect in the exam. Next is preparing without a plan / timetable. तो लोग क्या करते हैं कि बिना प्लान के बिना टाइम टेबल के दे जस्ट रीड ऑर्गेनिकली चल रहा है. इससे प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है कि व्हेन यू हैव अ टाइम टेबल आपको एक मोटिवेशन मिलती है, बिकॉज दिस एग्जाम इज अ लॉन्ग ड्रॉन प्रोसेस. आप 1 साल पहले से स्टार्ट करते हो तैयारी, एग्जाम 1 साल बाद होता है. तो देयर इज लॉट ऑफ चांसेस कि आप यू गेट डिस्ट्रैक्टेड और यू लूज योर मोमेंटम और यू फील लाइक यू डोंट फील लाइक स्टडिंग. टाइम टेबल रहता है तो उससे क्या होता है कि आप मोटिवेटेड रहते हो कि इस वीक मेरे को ये चीज खत्म करनी है. तो इट्स बीन 4 days and so many chapters are left, so I have to work hard. So this gives you motivation to study. Plus timetable also kind of helps you to gauge a plan कि भाई 3 महीने में मैं ये खत्म करूंगा, उसके बाद ये a scientific plan. ऐसे तो चल रहा है, पॉलिटी चल रही है 1 महीना 2 महीना. This is not how things are done. Next is preparing without looking into the previous year questions. तो ये बहुत बड़ी मिस्टेक होती है. ये तो मतलब ये 80% एस्पिरेंट्स दे डू दे मिस्टेक बिकॉज दे फील कि हम अगर क्वेश्चंस देख लेंगे तो हमारा कॉन्फिडेंस गिर जाएगा और कॉन्फिडेंस विल बी शेकन. भाई कॉन्फिडेंस गिर जाएगा, दैट इज अ स्मॉल थिंग, बट विदाउट सीइंग द क्वेश्चन आप कुछ भी पढ़ लोगे और आपको मालूम ही चलेगा कि व्हाट आर यू रीडिंग, द थिंग विच यू आर रीडिंग इसका कुछ रेलेवेंस है यूपीएससी से कि नहीं है, या यूपीएससी ने इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन कभी पूछा है इस एरिया से या नहीं पूछा है. So reading, I mean, after you start preparing, once you have read all the basic books, फिर your job should be to go back to the previous year papers. देखो कि किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं. तब next time when you read all these books, then you focus on areas where UPSC is asking more question, or you will get to know कि ये चीज मेरे को पढ़नी है क्योंकि ऐसा क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था. Right? So you will get to know which things to read and which things to avoid. Next is selecting an optional. ये भी बहुत इशू है, मतलब दिस इज ऑल्सो अ वेरी वेरी कॉमन मिस्टेक पीपल डू दैट, क्योंकि रैंक 1 ने एंथ्रोपोलॉजी ली है तो हम भी एंथ्रोपोलॉजी लेंगे, इवन तो आपकी बायोलॉजी वीक है उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, बट रैंक 1 ने ली है भाई तो हम भी लेंगे। ये इस हैबिट को यू हैव टू ब्रेक, बिकॉज ऑप्शनल का मतलब नहीं है कि अगर somebody has scored 350 तो you will also score 350 because that is high scoring, ऐसा कोई नहीं। एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में people have also scored 150 marks, I have seen people and people have scored 350 also, so optional should be chosen on based on your interest। इंटरेस्ट बहुत जरूरी है, अगर इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं होगा ऑप्शनल में, आई मीन आई मेट अ गाय हु वाज स्कोरिंग सम 260 to 250 इन हिस्ट्री, देन ही केम टू मी एंड सर कि मैं फिलॉसफी लूंगा एंड फिलॉसफी में बहुत हाई स्कोरिंग है, कोर्स बहुत कम है। सो देन ही रेड फिलॉसफी, हैड नो इंटरेस्ट इन फिलॉसफी, नथिंग, एंड ही स्कोर्ड 190 इन द नेक्स्ट ईयर एग्जाम बिकॉज इंटरेस्ट नहीं था। और ऐसे नहीं कि philosophy scored badly, people scored above 300, many people scored, but because उसका interest नहीं था तो he scored less than 200। तो optional should be chosen very very judicially and it should be chosen based on your interest। So you at least read for a week and see that whether you are able to find interest in that subject or not। Next is remembering or relying completely on the कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट। ये भी एक मिस्टेक होती है, लोग वाजीराम का एडमिशन लेके एंट्रेंस लेके आ जाते हैं, देन दे फील दैट कि आईएएस बन गया हो, तो वो भी मतलब कोचिंग मटेरियल पे ओवर डिपेंडेंस नहीं होना है। यू गो टू द कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट, अटेंड द क्लास, बट मेक योर ओन स्ट्रेटजी, डोंट जस्ट रिलाई ऑन कोचिंग जो है उसके नोट्स पे एंड यू नो ऑल दीज थिंग्स। नेक्स्ट इज यू नो दिस फीलिंग दैट यू शुड अटेम्प्ट एटलीस्ट 90 क्वेश्चंस टू क्लियर द प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम। ये एक बहुत बड़ा मिथ है भाई, ये एग्जाम सीबीएसई बोर्ड नहीं है। सीबीएसई बोर्ड में यू हैव टू स्कोर 95% तब जाके आपका एडमिशन हो गया, 98% अब तो होने लगा है, बट यहां पे ऐसा नहीं होता है। इस एग्जाम में प्रीलिम्स में इफ यू हैव 60% राइट आंसर्स एवरेज, देन यू आर परफेक्टली सेफ। दिस ईयर द कट ऑफ वुड हैव बीन अराउंड 51 to 52%, तो 60% तो एकदम सही है। तो यू नो योर फोकस शुड बी ऑन दैट इंप्रूविंग द एक्यूरेसी। सो इफ यू हैव अटेम्प्टेड ओनली 70 क्वेश्चंस एंड इफ 60 आर करेक्ट, you will still be through, or 65 are correct, you will still be through। So rather than attempting those questions in which you have zero idea, you know, your job should be on increasing the accuracy, increasing the correctness or the accuracy ratio of the questions that you have attempted। I would say 70, 75, 80 questions is enough। I have never attempted during my kind of preparation, I have never attempted more than 80 questions, never। And I have never scored less than 130 ever in the pre-exam। So this is, I mean, it's all about the accuracy. It's not about, you know, attempting 99 questions and then getting 50 right and 50 wrong. That will not take you anywhere। Next is making an unrealistic timetable। Now this is also a problem being faced by a lot of students। They make a timetable for 16 hours a day, and after 8-10 days they have to go to hospital to see a doctor because their mind gets exhausted by reading 16 to 18 hours। It's not possible to read 16 to 80 hours in a long run। Maybe you can read 16 hours for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but 1 year is a big time। And what happens is that after 2-3 weeks, these aspirants who has made such an unrealistic timetable, after 2-3 weeks they even stop studying because वो इतना frustrated हो जाते हैं अपनी लाइफ से that they even stop studying। So timetable should be realistic, जितना आप कर सको, and it should start from less hours। 6 घंटे से स्टार्ट करिए, then you increase it जैसे जैसे if you feel comfortable 6 hours में, then increase it to 8 hours, then increase it to 10 hours। सीधे अगर आप 16 आवर्स स्टार्ट कर देंगे तो देन इट इज अ गुड चांस कि 2 हफ्ते बाद आप छोड़ दें एकदम पढ़ना लिखना। नेक्स्ट इज इट इज फॉर द मेंस एग्जाम एंड आल्सो फॉर द प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम फॉर ब्लफिंग इन दोज क्वेश्चंस इन व्हिच यू हैव नो आइडिया। तो मेंस क्वेश्चन में क्या होता है कि कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि सारे क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करो, सारे क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करो। अब कोई क्वेश्चन के बारे में आपको जीरो आइडिया है and still because you have this कि ऐसे कहा है किसी ने तो I have to do that, and you write any shit in the answer. उससे होता क्या है कि एग्जामिनर जो आपके पहले के आंसर होते हैं उसको भी कहता है यार, you know, it gives a wrong impression on the examiner कि you are not true, you are not ethical, you just want to score marks even if you don't know anything. तो वो चीज से बचे, you know, if you don't know anything about a question, leave it. Next is shutting off your social life. ये भी बहुत मिस्टेक होती है, लोग यू नो वो व्हाट्सएप से हट जाते हैं, टेलीग्राम से हट जाते हैं, फेसबुक से हट जाते हैं, दे स्टॉप मीटिंग फ्रेंड्स, दे स्टॉप गोइंग आउट, एक रूम में बंद हो जाते हैं. दैट अफेक्ट्स द साइकोलॉजिकल हेल्थ. और ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है कि इसकी वजह से क्लियर ही हो जाता है एग्जाम. यू नो, योर सोशल लाइफ शुड बी देयर, यू शुड रिड्यूस इट, रिस्ट्रिक्ट इट, बट नॉट कंप्लीटली शट डाउन इट. पहले अगर आप हर हफ्ते अपने दोस्त से मिलते थे, अब आप महीने में एक बार मिलिए, बट यू शुड गो आउट, यू शुड मीट, यू शुड टॉक विद द पीपल, योर फैमिली, योर फ्रेंड्स एक्सेट्रा, बिकॉज दैट विल कीप यू मोटिवेटेड, दैट विल यू नो गिव यू मोर फोकस्ड. ऑल्सो ब्रेक चाहिए होता है, यू नो, आदमी पढ़ पढ़ के थक जाता है. यू आर नॉट एन एनिमल, यू हैव टू टेक अ ब्रेक. Next is ignoring the language paper. That is a very, very big mistake. I made this mistake and I got failed once in my Hindi language paper. So this is, I mean, people what they do is that they take it very, very casually. कि इसके तो marks तो जुड़ते नहीं है, it's just an kind of qualifying paper and even if I don't read, I can pass it. No. At least give 2-3 days for your language paper. Because Hindi में दिक्कत होती है, and especially for English medium people, because Hindi लिखे बहुत time हो जाता है. You know, after school we never write Hindi. तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है, यू नो, दैट्स व्हाई 2-3 दिन दे दो, यू नो, डोंट कंप्लीटली इग्नोर द लैंग्वेज पेपर. नेक्स्ट इज नॉट मेकिंग योर ओन माइक्रो नोट्स. ये भी एक मिस्टेक होती है कि लोग कोचिंग सेंटर के जो मटेरियल होता है उस पर पूरी तरह से रिलाई करते हैं. ये चीज नहीं. आप कोचिंग का मटेरियल से यू रीड फ्रॉम दिस करंट अफेयर मैगजीन्स, बट आफ्टर रीडिंग दैट मेक योर ओन माइक्रो नोट्स, because micro notes are very handy during the last stage of the exam. You can revise them, you can revise all the topics if you have the micro notes. अगर वो पूरा मटेरियल रहेगा तो इट्स नॉट इजी टू रिवाइव. 500 पेज आप नहीं रिवाइज कर सकते एक दिन में. सो यू नो, माइक्रो नोट्स, हैव योर, कीप योर माइक्रो नोट्स. नेक्स्ट इज राइटिंग जनरल आंसर्स. तो ये भी एक मिस्टेक जो करते हैं कि यू नो, अगर एक क्वेश्चन आया पंचायती राज पे और दे जस्ट राइट पंचायती राज में 3F की प्रॉब्लम है और ये सोल्यूशन है. जनरल, जब क्वेश्चन जनरल हो तो आंसर जनरल नहीं होना चाहिए. आंसर शुड बी स्पेसिफिक. It should contain certain amount of arguments, data, facts. इसके बारे में I already talked a lot when I made the video on how to write a good answer in the mains exam. So you can watch that video. It is there in our channel. And the last suggestion is avoid late night preparation. Late night preparation से होता क्या है कि it affects your health, it affects your mental health. You face a lot of problem, constipation problem, you get this problem of insomnia. बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. तो नेचुरल साइकिल जो होती है उसको मत बिगाड़ो. यू नो, रीड, यू नो, आइडियल टाइम इज कि यू स्लीप एट 10:30 and wake up at 5 or 5:30. That is the best way to go for your exam. So these are the main issues, or these are the main mistakes which you do. I did some of these mistakes, and 99% aspirants do some of these mistakes. So my idea or my objective is to ensure that you guys don't do, those people who are watching this video, they don't do this mistake. So we'll meet again with a new video. Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civil State.